Welcome back to The Charismatic Voice. I've analyzed and totally loved a few different Supertramp songs now, but I have yet to do one with Rick Davies as the lead vocalist. Now, I think that they have an incredible, upbeat, and very thoughtful yet sensitive vibe, and I'm curious if that's going to shift at all with the shift in the lead singer. Let's get to it. I don't know if that is included in the original song, but that intro was fabulous. I love the way there were so many different riffs in it that were built and expanded, and then little moments that were just glorious evidence of a great technique. And then those big hits from the band were so shocking because I was drawn into all the details of the music, and then suddenly it was really, really loud. I feel like they were saying something there. I'm not sure I quite caught what it was said, but it was yelled. I find it so interesting when I hear keyboardists, what sound they've chosen on the keyboard. Right, this is not going to be your standard piano sound. They could have made this keyboard sound more like a piano, but they deliberately chose not to. There's some organ elements in there, but it doesn't quite sound organ enough to me. There's some bounciness that reminds me a little bit of a marimba. It might be how he's playing the keys, but it's fascinating when I hear that and I hear, okay, he's chosen a sound that doesn't have a lot of pedal, not a lot of sustain underneath it. It definitely has that uplifting vibe that I really like about Supertramp. Back to the beginning, one more time. It is so jazzy. I'm amazed at how they bring jazz into rock like this. And it might really be that choice of tone on the keyboard that makes it more available to rock. The phrasing is just fabulous. There's so much push and pull in the dynamics, even in that slight rhythmic push and pull. That strike gets me. I love the way he'll go really fast and then have this rhythm that's drawn out. It's got a syncopation in it that was just, it feels like I'm stringing the notes together. It's just delightful. I'll show where that is exactly. It's right there. Ba, 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 ba. So I'm putting a triplet essentially on top of a beat, which makes it feel even more strung together in a really, really cool way. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's just the bass rhythm underneath with the triplet that I said first. I love those triplets. And then it is so cool how he stretches that tempo out right before the band comes in. I love it when we have bands that are obviously not using a really steady, impervious click track. I hear instead this fluidity in the music, which I think makes it much more human. I love that. And that beautiful sustain that he adds into is so cool. It's Roger on guitar. Yeah.
It's hard not to agree. You say it all depends on the money, and who is in your family tree. Right, right, you're bloody well right. You got a bloody right to say right. You're bloody well right. You know you got a right to say.
Whoa. All right. Rick Davies, much lower naturally sitting voice. There are so many similarities to the way that they deliver their text that is fascinating to me. I want to get in there and analyze it, not just with my ears, but with my eyes. I want to go into isotope and get that full spectrum frequency analysis. Oh, it's so cool. I might do that later. For now, let's go back and let's just talk about what we're hearing. That wah bit of the guitar is super cool. I always love having horns in rock music. I just have to mention that. It's something I've been particularly enjoying lately, so thank you for all of the recommendations y'all been putting out with that. Even that is jazzy. This entrance is particularly fabulous because of the way they just dive into it. It feels like it is smack in your face. I think that is important with how they've set the song up so far. We had that quieter piano intro. We got the whole band in there, and it's not ready to go back and be quiet again, right? We had that extended intro. We can't go back there yet. It would really feel like the energy fizzled. So instead, they had this moment of ba-ba. It's got like a charge up and then just whoosh, awesome sound. Let's go back a little more. Cool exploration of that riff too.
Sorry you think your schooling is honey. I guess it's hard not to agree.
Watch this part right here on him.
You say it all depends on the money.
And this.
And who is in your family tree.
Okay, so I talked about similarities in the enunciation. It has to do with also the focus of their voice. Their E vowels, both of them as lead singers, have extremely bright E vowels. So sometimes when people say E, there's a little rounding on it. And if you sing an E in opera, it tends to have quite a bit of rounding, meaning that your lips might be a little round. So I could say E, which is just kind of a normal E vowel. It's not particularly bright or rounded for me. E. If I go E, rounded lips starts to get a little bit darker. I can even round my mouth out. E becomes more of a mixed vowel there, becomes a lot darker. It takes on elements of oo. And that can be extremely useful if you're trying to bring in a darker sound. if I go back to my neutral eval, E, I'm not making it super bright just yet. It is pretty far to the side. I can say an eval without my lips to the side, by the way, just E. It's mostly made by the tongue. The tongue being like right up there. The blade is so... Anyhow, evals are really awesome vowels. There's my nerd moment. I really like evals. Okay. Now, to get that super crazy bright, like we are going to go spread more to the side, like almost like a clown smile. God, I hope you are okay with clown references here. And if you're not, then you're going to be creeped out for a moment. Then we can go even further forward if we do a little bit of squinching right here. Like go for full Wicked Witch. Now, if you look at my face and what they're doing, you'll notice a lot of the ways that both of these lead singers sing. It has a lot of extra movement right here and right here. They are really adjusting their filter on the sound so that it is extremely, extremely far forward, hence the super bright evals. Right, you can even see a little pull here.
I guess it's hard not to agree.
I see that muscle right in here going again. Roger has it too. Right there, see? Money. So bright on the vowel.
Who is in your family tree?
Now, the next question is going to be, okay, now that we know it is a crazy bright eval and that the sound is pulled very, very far forward in the mask being that area of resonance, it's as far forward as you can really get in the mask. Is that good? I love that question. There's so much subjectivity in that question. Is it good? And I think that most sounds have their place and time. For me, I think that this sound really works with Supertramp because it has this just very authentic vibe to it. It has a certain simplicity, but it cuts. The music in Supertramp sometimes can get a little more complicated, but it doesn't ever get complicated in a way that feels weighed down. So if you had a really dark voice, I don't think that would work with their overall sound. You want a bright sound. You want something that does feel forward, just, say it as it is kind of feeling. Something that strikes the soul really easily with the lyrics. Let's keep going.
Right, you're bloody well right. You got a bloody right to say.
Right, that cut off.
You're bloody well right. You got a right to say.
It's amazing right there.
Bloody well right. Yes, you're right to say. Yeah, you're bloody well right. You're right to say.
Oh my gosh, it was great rhythm at first and it got better. So he actually used some glottal attacks to enforce some rhythm in there, which is kind of crazy to me. I'm going to go back and talk about why this is so exciting. Oh my gosh, it's so far forward, y'all. So far forward. Here we go, right?
Right. You're bloody well right. You got a bloody right to say.
So just in that first phrase, which isn't nearly as rhythmic as the phrases that are about to come, there is so much clear rhythm. Things like where the final consonant gets placed, exactly where the sound cuts off. A lot of people, when they think about rhythm and voice, they're thinking about how things are started, and they're not thinking about how things end. You got to deliver at the end, too, for excellent rhythm. So, right. If I have ba, if I have beats going underneath, right. I'm exactly placing that T on a beat. He does that. He's very specific about it. He's very specific about his cutoffs.
Right, you're bloody well right. You got a bloody right to say.
He doesn't even take a breath after his T. He's just deliberate about going T and actually moving through the T with extra percussive sound to go into his next part. Wow.
Right, you're bloody well right. You got a bloody right to say.
And the way he cuts off of say on the beat as well, rhythmic, crazy rhythmic.
You're bloody well right. You got a bloody right to say. Right, you're bloody well right. You got a right to say. you're bloody well right. Yes, you know you're right to say.
It's so cool. And at this point, when he starts playing around, it becomes so rhythmic because of the way he's moving the voice not in that line that I often talk about. Instead, it's become much more vertical. I think about lines as these legato lines. They're very horizontal. Vertical is more like this. I think about it that way, partly because I've done a lot with music technology and production, and I think about lining my beats up like this, and that's very applicable to especially video game design and sound. It's very, very interesting to talk about vertical, horizontal composition. Anyhow, I digress. The point is, when he's doing these little excursions in here, the sound actually stops. And when we get that kind of feeling, it becomes even more rhythmic. It's more like a drum kit attacking the sounds than a violin playing. Let's try that.
You're bloody well right. Yes, you know you're right to say. Yeah, you're bloody well right. You know you're right to say.
That kind of sound, that vertical approach, is actually often much harder for a singer to create than the legato sound. Singers will struggle forever to get their legato better and better, but a general legato is going to be easier than this kind of sound.
You bloody well right. You know you're right to say.
It's like he's an instrument instead of a voice. And then goes back. I love the ones there. I'm so into it. Ooh. That's catchy.
Write your problems down in detail.
Ooh.
Take them to a higher place.
Oh my gosh. The way that the two of them coordinated the cutoff and like little swing off at the end was so precise, so together.
Write your problems down in detail.
The phrasing was on.
To a higher place. And you can run away, shouldn't say well. In the meantime, hush your face.
When he sings, I get elements of keyboard in his sound. The way that he goes down sometimes off of runs and will trail them off a little bit, like he was trailing off little jazz runs in his keyboard. I hear that same kind of phrasing in his voice, and it's just once again indicative that whatever instruments a singer plays, that tends to find its way into the voice as well. It's like people and dogs. You're like, that person bears some sort of resemblance to their dog. Similar thing. Singers and instruments, they bear resemblance to the instrument, that, especially one that they first learned on, if they learned an instrument before their voice, tons of resemblance there. Anyone that they are very proficient at, for sure.
In the meantime, hush your face.
What is that? Is that a megaphone?
Right. You bloody well right. You got the bloody right to say. Right. You bloody well right. You know you got a right to say. You bloody well right. Yes, you know you're right to say. Yeah, you bloody well right. You know you're right to say.
I seriously thought when he held that gold tube up, I thought it was another type of horn there. And I think it was just some sort of thing to aid in yelling right, make it sound chorusy. I thought we were going to get some honking horn sound. Nope. I want to go back one more time. I keep feeling amazed at the little tiny intricate muscles that are happening here. And he uses them to aid in his enunciation so much. Things like having a T that's like this. There's different ways you can pull your face and affect so much of your consonants. It's fascinating how much his face moves.
All right. You bloody well right. You got a bloody right to say. Right. You bloody well right. You know you got a right to say. You bloody well right. Yes, you know you're right to say. Yeah, you bloody well right. You know you're right to say.
That's so cool.
You got a bloody right to say.
so interesting hearing the two of them do that at the same time as well. I feel that Roger has taken on some of Rick's natural styling there. A beautiful, beautiful job of that. And if I went back to the other videos I've seen before when he's singing back or when they're flipped, I would probably notice more of Rick taking on Roger's style. So fascinating how they're working beautifully and this like almost stuttered kind of sound. I wouldn't normally tell a singer to perform it like that. I feel that is a very bold choice and one that is fun and interesting, intriguing. Every time I hear that sound, I'm like, ooh, oh, listen to that extra glottal attack. Go.
You got nothing right to say. You got nothing right to say. You got nothing right to say.
That was cute.
You got nothing right to say.
Oh my gosh. Falsetto. Just little mention here. It's really nice to hear this extended instrumental. I think most of the stuff I've heard from Supertramp hasn't had as much expansion and some of these musical ideas into instrument solos like this. There's been some, but not this much. And I love hearing in that intro and in this part with some good old saxophone. It's fascinating to hear where their minds go with that when it's totally free. And having that sort of like waka sound that's happening underneath because it's a great floor. I love that falsetto. Hashtag hoo-hoo. Oh, that was cool though. Wagada, 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 wagada. You know, that part. It was echoed in the keys as well. They know how to vibe together. There's just a little tiny echo of it. Wow. Roger is really high there. I mean, Rick is already high, and then I just realized that Roger was higher, but quiet and chill at the same time. That's so cool. So high. Mama. Just want to point out here, I see like no strain right here, which is great. Sometimes people go up into the falsetto and they're trying to overblow it. If you let it be kind of easy and breezy, it's especially for this kind of sound much better, and you shouldn't have any tension or like extrinsic laryngeal muscles shouldn't be getting involved in that sound. Also hilarious how we hear some distortion and this like extra rattle with it. I think it's so much fun when you get to hear those things combined with falsetto. Right there. Ooh, ooh. That's one of the things I love is the conversational aspects between instruments and voices in Supertramp. I've noted that before. That was a really great example of it. It happened throughout this instrumental solo too. Ooh. Interesting fade out. say it's a tiny bit pitchy in there at first, but I don't think we want that kind of sound to be perfect. It has that more human aspect because it isn't perfect. Fun use of diphthong. Gosh, great falsetto on both of them. Hello, poster ending with diphthong. That's an A-E diphthong. 2 vowel sounds combined into one, and they split it when they sing. That's hilarious. I don't think you could have a better example of using diphthongs to inspire your melody. There is so much play in this song. It's one of the things I think overall about Supertramp that I've heard. There's a lot of playfulness in their sound, both in the vocal lines and in the instruments, and the way that they work back and forth together. If you want to see some more analysis of songs that I think are really, really playful, check out this playlist over here, and may you fall more in love with music every day. Mwah!